So we have been doing a series that we've called "Love Where You Live," and the idea of this series is that we're looking at how do we begin to touch lives the way that Jesus did. And one of the things that we've emphasized throughout this series and we've been looking at really not just a strategy that we want to do, but a lifestyle that we really want to implement. And really, the heartbeat behind this is also for us to begin to realize, like, anyone can do this. You don't have to be a biblical scholar. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to have a reverend in front of your name or pastor in front of your name. It's something that any of us can do. And all we have to do is just look at the way that Jesus did and the way that Jesus modeled it. And as a result of that, it allows us to begin to demonstrate and show the love that he has to others. And one of the things we talked about, during this series is that God's plan to reach the world was to bless the world. And we see this, for example, John chapter 3, verse 16, he says, "For God so loved the world that he gave," exactly. So his desire to reach the world was to bless the world, and then blessing the world, it draws them to come to know him. And so, what if we made a commitment and we did that same uh, commitment as well? That in order to reach this world, we want to bless the world. And so, what we've been doing is there's a book that inspired us called Five Everyday Ways to Love Your Neighbor, written by a guy named Dave Ferguson. And he gives a very simple, a formula, for lack of better terms, of things that we can do to help us to be able to reach out to others. And it's summed up in the word bless. So you can put it right on the screen. So the B in bless stands for begin with prayer, which is great because, right, anyone can pray. Begin with prayer. And so, over the course of this series, we talked about how important it is with prayer. It's amazing how prayer really does soften your heart and it opens a door for you to be able to see others through compassion. The L in bless stands for listen with care. One of the things that I wanted to emphasize over the course of this series is that the greatest tool that God gives us to be able to reach others is not this, it's these. And so being able to listen to others say that you matter, say that you care, and say that I want to really be able to be there to hear you. The E stands for eat together. Now, we all can do that, right? It's just eat together. And so the idea behind that is to step out and once you found the person that you begin to pray for, maybe the door open for you to listen to is invite them to go out to have maybe a cup of coffee, go out to lunch with you, but an opportunity to be able to eat together, just kind of get to know one another as well. The S in bless, the first S stands for serve and love. So as you're beginning to have these conversations and talking with people, if there's an opportunity that you hear to be able to make a difference, then you do so. And the final S is for share your story. And the beautiful thing about sharing your story is it doesn't really have to be complicated in the way that you do so. For example, if someone were to ask you, because the reality is people are not used to someone serving them and doing things for them without an expectation of anything in return. So when you do something like that, if someone were to ask you, like, why do you do it? Your story could simply be, Jesus Christ has loved me in incredible ways, and I just want to be able to show that love to others. That's powerful. It's powerful. And who knows how that may open up doors for you to be able to begin to share and talk with and encourage others as well. So what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks, and you go ahead and take that down now, Jess, but what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks is we've been collecting questions for you to send in. And then what's going to happen is, Glendon, if you want to go ahead, I guess I should give you an opportunity to say
You're
hi.
doing great. You're doing great. You're killing it. No, it's been exciting. It's been a lot of fun, but it's interesting. I think this blossomed from when Ken and I were working through this, putting the sermon series together. Well, it was already together, but going through and writing sermons. The banter we would have was very similar to banter I'm assuming a lot of people have over doing something possibly in the blessed lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe eating or doing something. And it really triggered in him, like, wait a minute, this is kind of a cool thing that we could do. We could just be regular people, talking to regular people, kind of the synopsis of anyone for anyone that the blessed lifestyle kind of talks about. So it's been pretty neat. It's been a lot of fun. So, and I hope in so doing it encourages everybody to do the same thing with with your inner circle, your outer circle, or just completely outside your circle. It's been a journey, and it's a story in and of itself.
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And if you don't have a circle, you can create
Yeah,
one.
well, that's the thing.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
you just
opportunity.
yeah, right.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and dive right. Here's one of the first questions that we received is, which part of the blessed strategy which part of the blessed strategy is most difficult for you to apply personally, and why? So, which part of the blessed lifestyle is most difficult for you to apply personally, and why? So, I'll start with myself. I think for me, the most difficult part is moving to because I got the prayer thing down, and I'm really great at praying for others. And it's really interesting because again, when people see me in a position like this, it's easy to think, well, Ken must be an extrovert. He naturally goes up. He's willing to talk to people because he stands in front of people every Sunday. But the difference is when I'm in a situation like this, uh, I'm in control of the conversation. I'm in control of how it goes. I'm in control of the way that it moves forward. But when it comes to like stepping outside of that circle and beginning to talk to people just like regularly on the street and being able to take that next level, that's the part that's a challenge for me. So I think the listening and the eating part, as far as inviting someone, hey, would you like to go out to lunch to meet together, to get together? That part is a challenge for me simply because really, like if you were to do the Myers Briggs, that scale when it comes to the introvert extrovert, I score on the introvert side, but just I score on the introvert side, but just with a little bit of extrovert to me. So for me, like having conversations with people, it really is a difficult time. And sometimes I get in my own head when it's time for those conversations, and then you're wondering like, okay, what do I say next? What do I say next? And that's kind of going through. So I think for me, that's probably the most difficult part of this is just the transition from now praying to now let's begin to building connections and relationships.
Yeah. For me, I mean, those of you who know me would probably sit there and go, "It's got to be listening because he talks way too much." So he doesn't have the capability of listening, but it's not. It's actually not. When I do listen, I think I'm a good listener. The one that I struggle with, and it's kind of for an interesting reason, is the serve. Um, I have no qualms about serving. I stepping up and doing and helping, but I think I've in my past, and I'm sure a lot of us do this. It's so tough on myself and thinking, am I doing enough? Was it the right thing? And until I think I wrap my mind around the fact that doing something is the most important thing, because if you're going to regulate and try and put a gauge to how you did something, it's it stops being something from the heart and something that it is an agenda. It starts to become something that's like just a weird program that you're running. It's like, well, I have to do this. That's not the goal. I think the goal is, and what the goal I was trying to do when I told myself just do something, is it doesn't matter, big or small. I mean, if it's as minimal as seeing a need of somebody in a store and they're vertically challenged and you go grab it off the shelf for them. I mean, it's stuff like that. But I think programming, but I don't want to say programming, but just becoming where that culture or lifestyle is just one where you're looking to serve in any opportunity or any capacity without rating it, without putting, how many stars did it, how well did I do it? You just do it. And I mean, I imagine doing that for people is going to speak to them and resonate. And I would think if we had a world full of people that had that mentality, it'd be a pretty good place. So the serve for me is one that I've had to work on. I even to the fact to the when I'm talking to people or somebody needs something and there's a need, I don't even say, let me know if I can help you. I don't even say that, because you're almost putting it back on them to do more work, to have to do something, to ask you. There's a struggle there.
Mm.
There's something. And I just say, tell me, and I will be open and honest. If I can't, I won't. But just know that I will, and you just need to tell me. And that's truly being serving. And I want to be that type of a person where somebody can just lean in and just say, I'm telling you that I need this. If I can, I will. And if I my no is no, my yes is yes. And so that's kind of the journey I've been on with that,
That's
trying to
good.
get to be a better servant.
That's
So
good.
it's yeah.
I was going to say because there's something that you said that I think is really important. You talked about that this is not an agenda,
No?
And I think it's important, when we're talking about, because we hear the word blessed, and I made a mistake during this series, is I would call it the blessed strategy. Uh, that was a mistake because what I don't want it to be is like this is another strategy that we use to be able to reach people. Uh, Really, when you look at Jesus when he did this, it was his lifestyle. Like this is what he did every day in showing his love to people. And so, what if we had that mentality where it's not an agenda, it's a lifestyle? And here's the thing that's really been interesting because I talked about for me, like the transitioning from, you know, having to be from transitioning to the point where I begin to like have those conversations with people, that kind of thing. Since I've been doing, this and really beginning to pray, it's been really interesting to me because it's been really natural. It's become more natural for me to actually begin to create conversations with people. I was at Starbucks yesterday, and no, it was on Thursday. I was at Starbucks on Thursday, uh, getting ready for a wedding rehearsal. I was going over some things, and I saw this woman, and she had a T-shirt on, and it said "Coach" on the back. And so I just asked her, like, "Well, what do you coach?" And from there, we had a conversation about her coaching kids and what got her into it and how it happened. So I think the more that we begin to implement this, I'm probably going to hit this again later, that it becomes more natural to us as we begin to practice it and begin to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, good.
The next question that I thought was really really good, which is, what about introverts who don't particularly enjoy connecting with people, or it doesn't come naturally to them? And I thought, wow, that's a really really great question. And Glenn and I started to play the game. Like, who do you think asked this question? But I was like, no, 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 let's not play
We
that.
thought
Let's
about
not.
doing that. We're going to go
Yeah,
around and guess. And
do the guessing thing, kind of thing. Uh, but here's what I love about the blessed lifestyle. It really fits who you are. And so, for example, if you are an extrovert, if you're committed to living this lifestyle, then you're going to look for opportunities to kind of step into a lot of social circles and begin to connect with others and begin to practice this and do this. But, for an introvert, here's what's beautiful about an introvert, which I think is really incredible. What's really great about introverts is they are really great at they don't have a lot of friends, right? But they have very few people that they really invested in and really connected in. And so the great thing about living this lifestyle is that it kind of fits that. So if you're someone who likes to take your time connecting and building relationships and that kind of thing, it allows you to be able to do so. And maybe your prayer is a little bit longer than an extrovert, kind of thing. But you have the opportunity to be able to do so. And the good thing about Bless is you move forward at a pace that is comfortable for you. And then hopefully what will happen is it will open a door for you to be able to begin to connect and build really great friendships. But the great thing about it as well is that if you are an introvert, there's something that you are wired to do that maybe an extrovert might struggle with. And that is with an introvert, if you've really connected with that person really becomes special to you. And they actually have an opportunity to kind of feel that because of the connection that they've had and because this is a step out, for you to be able to do as well. So that's what I love about this is no matter what your personality is, you can be able to utilize this in a way that really is able to fit you.
yeah, it's interesting. Ken and I were looking at this. There's really three personality types: one the introvert, extrovert, and then somewhere in the middle, which is kind of what Ken
The
described.
ambivert, that's what it was.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
what Ken described. But introverts about 40%. So it's a large swatch of people that are out there. So as far as connecting or using, I honestly, I know a lot of people. We all know a lot of people, and they're all different personalities. And the extroverts obviously a little more outgoing, a little more exuberant. The introverts not, and they're a little more cautious, a little more conservative. And then there's the people in the middle that can go either way. But of all the people, the truest relationship you're going to have with the most depth, with the most nurturing and caring, most likely is going to be with an introvert. So honestly, I'd wear it like a badge of honor and say, look, this is, it's a good attribute to have somebody be your friend. I know a lot of people that if their hair's not on fire and they're going 8 different directions, I mean, they're they're not living. And to be friends with people like that, God love them. They are how they are, and we're all how we are. But it doesn't make them any more, less a friend or less worthy. But it's just how they're wired. But the wiring of the introverts, like Ken described, is the way they go about and do things. It's a little more calculated, a little more. And honestly, I'm drawn to people more like that.
Mm.
And actually, if I took the test, I probably would be considered an introvert myself. But I think speaking to the fact of maybe the question's more is also referring to the ability to like, look, this is not a comfortable thing for me. I'm an introvert. Being out there, being exuberant, being the person that's on the front lines. I mean, that's a big ask for a lot of people to be able to walk out there and just start, just go and expose myself. And like you're talking about the narrative, you start losing control of the narrative.
Mm.
But if you're out there and you're doing God's plan and you're carrying it out and He's on your side, like I said last week, let Him work. Let Him work. You do your part. God, I promise you, He will do His. It may not be flashy or flamboyant, but something's going to happen. Something's going to happen, and it is a bit of a leap of faith, but so is driving and hoping everybody stays in their lanes. I mean, that's a leap of faith too. So just to be out there, and whether you're an introvert or an extrovert or whatever scientific word you was, what's the middle ground?
Ambivert.
Yeah. See, I don't. Great, go. Don't let it stop you, and don't disqualify yourself with a tag or a moniker or something. Just He calls us to go, so just go.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I remember there was one time where I was with a group of people and they were like, hey, why don't we go down to Manhattan Beach at midnight and kind of stand outside and talk to people about Jesus coming out of bars? Like for the introvert, they're like, no, no way, kind of thing. But I've noticed that a lot of quote unquote evangelism strategies really are wired for people that are extroverts. And I've also seen it sometimes where people who are introverts are looked at as I don't know if I want to say like less than or lower than, because or maybe looked at as having more of a lack of faith because there is a bigger hurdle for them to have to step over in order to be able to quote unquote stand on the streets and street evangelize kind of thing. So what's really great about the blessed, doing the blessed lifestyle is there's no requirement for you to stand out and talk to someone and go up to them like, "Hey, if you were to die today, do you know where you would go?" Like, to the introvert, I'm dying right now. So I can understand that. So I think it's great to be able to know that with this lifestyle, as far as being committed to living that out, you can pace it and you can, in many ways, surrender yourself to God and say, God, how are you leading this conversation? Please continue to lead and help me kind of see where the doors open and be able to step in and and be able to make a difference. Now, there is a step of faith that still is required on all, whether you're an introvert, extrovert, ambivert. There is a step of faith that is required, and there is risk that is involved as well. Uh, but the other side of that is when you step out and like, wow, God, you can use this and use me in incredible ways. It's awesome when we can do that as well. The next question I thought was really great. Someone had asked us this: besides prayer, how can you bless someone who has cut you out of their life? Besides prayer, how can you bless someone who has cut you out of their life? And Glenn, I'll go ahead and let you run with that
Yeah,
one first.
it's an interesting question. I mean, they've all been great questions, but this is interesting. It's you immediately you look at, man, this feels like there was something happened, right? There was something happened, and how powerful it is for the individual saying this because they still want to make it work. They still want to nurture and possibly either save or salvage or create a relationship. So it's really great that the person is still trying because you kind of pick that up. And obviously we can't know everything looking at this
Right.
question, but it's a great question because it speaks to where do I apply the lifestyle of the blessed to situations, and this is a situation that's possibly going to come up. But as far as praying about it, yeah, I mean, if the opportunity presents itself without knowing how this is all gone, to potentially resurrect the relationship, continue relationship, well, read it, read into it. Obviously, you put a lot, whomever, whatever's going on, a lot of thought has gone into it. Um, but if an opportunity presents itself and you could take it a step further and extend an invitation to eat or just listen,
Mhm.
let's go over whatever transpired. This is where I'm at. This is where you're at. But pray. Obviously, pray, pray, pray. Keep praying about it. Um, and then not just for them or for the relationship, just for yourself, to not to give up necessarily.
Mhm.
But if you do need to give up, but when to? I mean, God's got to. There's got to be some divine intervention in this, because obviously the control has been lost in the situation, and to reconcile or bring it back to wherever you need to, start with prayer and then read the situation and go from there. Also, looking at this too, I can only assume that maybe there was an issue of something happened. Again, something happened. So there's a lot of things come into play.
Mhm.
Potentially forgiveness, working at forgiveness,
Mhm.
which is something to work at. It's not something that automatically happens. So my point is, besides just prayer for the situation, prayer for yourself as an individual, coping with this and dealing with this, looking for direction, looking for guidance, knowing where to navigate and pursue to maybe push it a little bit by reaching out, or knowing not to and not reaching out. So that's kind of my
That's good.
take on it.
I would say also, like, for this question, I don't know if there is a cut and dry answer for it, only because the relational dynamics are sometimes hard to know. Like, without knowing all the details, it's hard to know what the next step would be. So I would say, uh, do the best that you can to be able to read the room or read the person. And so if it's someone that has cut you off, but there is an avenue that is open, then by all means, look for a way to be able to serve and be able to bless. However, you also have to be careful too, because if they cut you off and then your service is seen as manipulation to try to make them open the door for you, then that might be a situation where you might want to kind of hold off. So it's just being able to read it, and if they're not ready yet, uh, you know, being able to read that, also. So I don't think there's a cut and dry answer, but I will say this: that I love the heart
Absolutely.
of this question, because I think
Absolutely.
it's someone that is saying, "Look, I really want to be a blessing, even though I know that this is a relational
Mhm.
challenge." And so I think that there's something beautiful
Absolutely.
in that heart as well. This next one is not necessarily a question; it's more of a statement, but I thought it was great. It says, "When blessing others, it is also important to use wisdom. Uh, use wisdom with energy, wisdom with your resources, wisdom with safety, wisdom with relationships, etc. Bless abundantly, but also bless in balance." And I thought that's a great statement, because I think this was really motivated by the week I talked about the bless, how God wanted to bless the world through it. And I did talk about the idea that bless is a sacrifice. Like, there is an element of, to do this and be able to
Mhm.
serve others, there's an element of sacrifice that goes along with it. But the challenge that we have to also be careful of is not to be unhealthy.
Right.
And I think the biggest example that I can think of, is in Scripture, where it says Jesus often go to
Yeah.
lonely places to pray.
Right.
So in other words, Jesus took time out to kind of to gather and reconnect and himself with his Father, and then go out and be able to serve. So if Jesus needs a timeout, maybe we do as well, and to be able to have a healthy balance in this. But I also will say this on the flip side, is that for many of us, going to the extreme of over blessing is not really our struggle. Right? For many of us,
Yeah.
I think we need to, like, let's start blessing
Yeah.
first, and then begin to be able to evaluate, now, have I gotten to a point where it becomes unhealthy? But let's just start. Because I've also seen it, and I've been guilty of this in my own past, where I was hesitant because I didn't want to overextend myself, and so because of that, I didn't extend either.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, so I think that there's that part of it as well.
Yeah, I think the two words here that are big for me in looking at this is wisdom and balance. Like Ken,
Mm,
Ken was talking about. Again, we're encouraging people that anybody can do this. Keep it simple. Just go. Everybody's eligible. Your story is unique. You are one of one. So go out there and be that in the world. But in so doing, I think you have to take caution and be of the right mindset to go do it. I mean, if there's a little self care that's needed, by all means, take care of that. But don't let that stop you, and don't use that as an excuse to not do anything.
mm,
Don't disqualify yourself because I'm having a rough week. Great, acknowledge I'm having a rough week. Work at getting through it, but still be on the go and ready to be out there and implement the blessed lifestyle. But it's very sage wisdom
hmm
to say the balance is key. Um, it is interesting. You said over blessing, and it triggered something in my head. This isn't solving somebody's problem, right? The
mm,
over blessing,
hmm
over blessing to me would be doing too much. So doing too much would be, well, I'm going to fix you. I don't think that's what God wants you to do. Let God's works in you be shown.
mm,
Don't play psychologist. Don't play, healthcare provider. Don't. Yeah, that's not your job. Obviously, if you have a relationship and it begins to grow and there's other topics and things you can talk about, but this isn't fix me time. This is be there, be present, listen,
mm.
good counsel, and and you can work towards those things. So yeah, I think that's important. But as part of the balance aspect.
Yeah, and I love that the idea of that you're there to bless, not fix,
Yeah.
because that is a big difference. There's a tremendous difference in us being able to understand that. Because I think sometimes as believers, we can walk in with almost like I don't know if I want to say a hero complex, um, but in the name of Jesus, I am here to walk in, and it's okay if it takes time, and if it's okay if it uh, allows God to be able to have the room to be able to work. I'm just there to be able to support. That's the biggest thing. I'm just there to be able to support. And in that support, if God uses it to be able to lead someone to an answer, then praise God for that. But sometimes, and the reality is, most people don't want you to fix them,
Right.
but they do want you to love them. And so I think if we understand that, and it is true because I think we can become unhealthy and go to an extreme if we start to get into that mindset of
Absolutely.
I'm here to fix, fix, fix,
Yeah.
fix, fix. So then I think the result of that then is we do begin to like overextend
Yeah.
ourselves because of
Yeah, I think Ken coined the phrase somewhere. Get there's so many little catch things. You're like, oh, that's great. But I think one of the ones that struck with me was he always said it's an invitation. It's not an orientation.
it.
I'm inviting. It's an invitation to be open and honest and share my journey and bless you in some way. It's not an agendized orientation where I'm going to assimilate you into this. I think that's what we have to be cautious of that.
That's
I
good.
think, yeah.
I think for these last, because of time, I want to combine these last two questions because I think the mindset is similar.
Oh,
So the next question was, what if the person you want to invite says no, or it's awkward? Do you try again or let it go? And then the next question after that was, what happens when you follow all 5 steps with someone and they don't want anything to do with Jesus? Was it wasted? Was it wasted? You want to jump in with
well,
that,
yeah.
Glenn?
I mean, two things stand out to me. No's a definite possibility. I don't know if it'll be a definite no, but we're smart people. We engage with each other a lot. Body language, um, just or a hard no. Again, read the room. If maybe it's a no right now, maybe it's that's interesting, but fine, move on. Ken and I talked about it. I think you may have levels of blessed lifestyle things going on with certain different people all the time because again, It's a life culture. It's just how we should naturally be and how we should operate. So acceptance or lack of acceptance or people acknowledging or not acknowledging, that's part of it. That's we have that in our everyday lives and in so many things that we do. So it's going to happen, and that's okay. The big thing is don't let that disqualify you as somebody to live a lifestyle where you're trying to bless people.
Mm.
It's not a you thing. I mean, if there's something and you're noticing a trend and wow, I tried this for the third time this way. Yeah, maybe you need to look at that, but it, no, you just keep plugging away. Um, the no thing. I mean, if it's a hard no, fine, move on. Or if it's there's if you see a crack or an opportunity or a method to maybe revisit it later or whatever, that's fine because it's going to become your DNA. And the opportunities to be that for someone, be it somebody who has given you signals that they're not as interested, then it can be revisited later because it's going to be a natural method of how you operate with
Mm.
a person. The other one is the other question, kind of touching on that, where they talk about was it time wasted? We ran through, we did a few things, and it just didn't stick. Well, you obviously you had some relational continuity. I mean, there was something there. It was genuine because obviously they stuck around and listened and were a part of what it was you're trying to say. And anytime you can be out there and and God's in you and you're out there just trying and you're letting God try to do work and you're out there trying to do work, that's not a waste, ever. It's not.
Yeah.
That is not. I think we as humans, we put monikers and things on, like I was talking about with my struggle with serving, where I would rate it and I would be like, well, that wasn't good enough. It is. It's fine. Again, you are amazing. Your stories are unique. You are capable. And I think we struggle with maybe with willing, and I think we struggle with understanding. How do I become willing to do it and understanding that good, bad, or indifferent, at least I did something and I'm carrying out God's will, and it's a faith statement, and I'm giving him an opportunity to work and being a vessel to just get him out there. So it's never going to be a waste.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's good. I was thinking too, as you were talking, there's a passage that came to mind that I wanted to share with everyone. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 3, beginning at um, verse 13. It says, "Because of God's grace to me, I have laid the foundation like an expert builder, but others are building on it. But whoever is building on this foundation must be careful." So I love this, and there's also a part in this passage where where Paul says, like, I planted the seed and Apollos came later and watered it. So it's important to realize that, and this is really key. One of the things I love about the blessed lifestyle is that the goal is not to seal the deal. We're not in this to sell Jesus, uh, because that's not my job. And all of a sudden now it becomes about me
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I begin to do that. And am I smart enough? Am I good enough? Do I know enough of the Bible? And sometimes what we begin to do is disqualify
Yep.
ourselves because we feel like we're not enough. But realize, like, all we're being called to do is to love others and to love them well. As far as getting people across the line, that's the Holy Spirit's job.
Yep.
That's his work. And so ultimately we trust in him to be able to do that. So if it's someone that you do all five things with and they're just not ready for the next step, hey, you planted a seed. Also, here's the thing too, because I've also seen believers that will do this, and this I think has caused more damage than it has good. When we walk into a situation and our goal is to close the deal or to seal the deal, then what happens is if I don't seal the deal, then what do? I move on to the next target, right? I move on to the next person. And so it comes off as you were only interested in me enough to want me to talk to Jesus with you. And now that I'm not interested in moving forward, you weren't really interested in me. You were just interested in your banter. Or you were just really interested in your evangelism strategy. You weren't really interested in me. So And you never know. You never know how long it may take someone to process. And so, as long as you're continuing to love and encourage and support and be there and walk through it with them, they may not be ready for Jesus now, but they might be ready for Jesus later. Or, I'll go back to the if you have that awkward moment, they're like, uh, "No, I don't want to go out to lunch with you," which is very possible. Then who knows? Maybe a no now may change later. Maybe they say no because they're an introvert and they don't want to step out. And it's a big step for them to be able to go out and begin to spend lunch with you. But let's say, for example, maybe later on, the two of you get put on a project at work together, and now you're spending time together, and they get a chance to be able to know you, and you feel like, man, there's a comfort that has now been established because of the time that we've been able to spend together. And so maybe you ask them again, and maybe that time the answer might be yes, because they do know you better. You've had a chance to connect, you've had a chance to build more of a relationship with that person, and now things have opened and changed, and God could be able to begin to work through that. So I think it's important for us to realize, when it comes to this, and this is really key, like I said before, this is not a let's close the deal kind of thing, let's seal the deal kind of thing. This is not a let's sell Jesus kind of thing. This is let's love people well. And in the process of loving people well, they may come to believe. In the process of loving people well, they may not come to believe. But if they can just walk away with this, man, I know Glenn, and he's this Christian guy that went to church, and he helped me, and he was kind to me, he cared about me, and they walk away with that. At least like a door has been opened for them to be able to consider Jesus because of at least of the level of kindness that you showed them. And what better compliment is that? For someone to be able to say to you, hey, you know what? I don't really agree with what it is that you believe, but I know that you respect me and that you love me and that you care about me. That's huge. That's huge. And then you just say, Holy Spirit, deal with the other spot. You let them be able to do that. Anything else you wanted to?
No, I think it's no, it's good. It's all just you just got to go out and just keep it simple. It's people will be yourself. How do I want to be spoken to? Well, that's the same way we should talk to other people. They and again, it's the famous quote. They may not remember what you said, they may not remember what you did, but they remember how they felt. You will always remember how that person or what experience, whatever made you feel. So work within that. Work that way because that's how we operate. Treat others how you want to be treated. Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell, I think.
Yeah. So I really do hope that this conversation has been a blessing to you. I would love to get your thoughts about it afterwards. So feel free to pull me aside and say, Ken, that was great. Do this again in the future. Or if it's like, Ken, don't do that again. I would love to be able to get your thoughts, about this. But I thought it would be something different, something kind of fun.
Cool.
It's fun for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully it was for you.
Hopefully it was for you too. All right. Let me pray. Father, we just thank you